We're gonna open up the Water and Sewer Commission's meeting. It's 7:10, August 8th, 2023. I'm gonna get the Systems Manager Water and Sewer report.
So for July, we pumped a total of 7.4994 million gallons for an average of 241,916 a day. We used 529.75 gallons of KOH, 292 gallons of batch chlorine solution. Sampling for the month was good. We did startup samples on the Glen pumps after they were rehabbed. So for system repairs, we rehabbed both the wells at Glen, done by F.J. Sullivan and Company. We installed a complete new submersible pump, motor, the drop pipe, and the check valve. We put a new drop pipe and stainless steel drive shaft and overhauled turbine pump. The station, we already put it back online at the beginning of this month. As part of the project up here, Rich already installed 2 new 12-inch gate valves and a 12-inch T on Davis Street to do the northeast main intersection connection. New main starting to go down. It's down just about Charles Street now. We just crossed the culvert yesterday. Steve had to clean out and operate 7 valves over a 2-day period, trying to get a tight shutdown to do that connection. Steve did the tank inspection, greased pumps at primary, calibrated the 3 pH meters, and pumped the West Street PRV pit. We replaced one large, we didn't actually replace it, we had Hayward Landing replace their large meter. We replaced it with a Neptune Mark 10 ultrasonic meter. They also installed a new gate valve, backflow preventer, and PRV. Did 4 final reads, 2 new connections with meters. We received the 1,700 gallons of KOH to the 3 stations. Worked on the wastewater asset management program with Ty and Bond. Put the grass at Franklin, Church Street and Primary, and did mark-out services for the project on the Northeast Main Water Main project. Questions on the water? The sewer, we had 2.41 inches of rain, 6.532 million gallons flow, for an average of 210,723 gallons per day. We had 128,730 gallons waste, for an average of 4,153 gallons per day. We used 145 gallons of alum, 0 gallons of sodium hydroxide, 336 kilowatt hours of electricity, and the river average was 570.786, which is way above what we normally have for this month. The DMR study 43 officially started. Helgeson came in and cleaned out the 2 siphon lines, plus the Davis Street pump station and the Colonial pump station right now.
We're cleaning out these pipes, what, twice a year, is it?
Typically, yeah. Yeah, it's minimal preventative maintenance to avoid an issue we had in the past.
All right, now we'll move on. We got the February 25th, 2020. Is that 2020 or 2020?
Yeah, no, it's 2020. So we had to place the meeting minutes up on the internet.
Oh, yeah.
And in doing them, there was
Some that never got voted on.
some that never got voted on. So we're just gonna clean that up now. So I'll make a motion that we accept the meeting minutes as written for February 25th, 2020.
Second it. Oh,
Second. I second.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
I abstain. I wasn't present.
And I make a motion that we accept the meeting minutes from April 4th, 2023 as written.
I second it. Do you have any changes in?
Nope.
And make a motion that we accept the April 4th meeting, 2023. Keith and I.
Yep.
Abstain. I wasn't present.
And then we've got the, I'll make a motion that we accept the meeting minutes from May 2nd, 2023.
Second.
All in favor?
Okay.
You would abstain.
You abstained, Bob, you weren't here.
Yeah, I understand. That's it on the minutes. All right. What do we have for a year-end discussion?
We don't have the final, budget numbers, the, final financials, we haven't finished reaching yet. So we're still trying to close that out. So we have all that for- but we were in decent shape for last year, we had a lot of additional revenue from these projects and different sources. So that's it.
All the projects are going well.
Well, it seems like we have a lot of delays on the Charlie project. The bridge had several delays. They were supposed to pave tomorrow, but now they're not gonna pave tomorrow. They're paving up to the approach slabs for the bridge. Because they need to get the paving done before they can open the bridge to start using that as the entrance.
The Blue Bridge?
The new bridge, yeah. So there's some issues with the contractor on getting the paving done.
Who's the,
Lopes is doing that. So
Right.
Lopes is the one that installed the pipe for the water and sewer through the bridge. So it was just a subcontractor, CRG. Yeah.
well, what about Gilboa Street?
So it's trying to get the funding in place in the right places to get Gilboa and North paved. The contractor's ready to go. It's just us trying to get the available funds, so because the
Was
plot.
that part of the project?
Yes, so what happened was when we looked at it and just how much the roads got destroyed during construction with 3 different utilities coming through, we looked at it and said that the best option is not mill and overlay, it's to totally recover the road. So there was a change order. And in order to get the additional funding, we have money available, but it's in the wrong spot. So we have a state grant and a federal grant. And the federal grant has money, the state grant doesn't. But some of the money that we had for the state grant is matching the federal grant. So some of that money's tied up that we're trying to free up, and we're trying to find other methods to move that around to make it so that we can get the paving done as soon as we can. So paving will be done as soon as we get that finalized on North Street all the way down to the beginning of the mill parking lot. So that section should get paved sometime pretty soon. I'd say it'd probably take another month or 2 before, because the contractor, we gotta get them lined up with a date, but we can't sign the contract with a change order until we have the funds in place. So,
And what's the change order for?
to do pulverization and then the overlay, as opposed to mill and overlay. So when you mill it, you just grind off
Right.
grind off 2 inches and then you put 2 inches back. Well, we're gonna pulverize the road. Half the problem is, with all the trenches, I mean, you see how these roads are now.
Right, yeah.
You've got all these seams going, and if you just mill and overlay, all those seams are gonna come through, so you'll see them. So if you recover the entire road, it blends it all together and the road will last a lot longer.
Also, they're gonna dig up the whole road and
They're gonna grind the whole
grind it
road,
up.
and then they'll remove some up here on North Street. I don't know if you guys noticed when you drive down, but there's no curb reveal. That's because Buff used to just come in and overlay. So we lost all the curb reveal. And if we just milled it and overlaid it, we'd be back at the same spot. So in order to get the sidewalks to come out right, we need to recover the road and bring it down like 6 inches. And then, you know, re-blend in the base and then putting the top coat on.
It's gotta come down 6 inches.
In some spots.
Does that mean you gotta lower all the manholes and everything else?
All the manholes have to be redone. We already had that as part of the project.
Oh, okay.
It's a little bit of a change order on the manholes because now it's involved in stripping them right down and then building up to what we need to be at,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to just replacing the frames and covers.
Mm-hmm.
We had frames and covers in there already for both the stormwater grates, the manholes, the sewer manholes, and the gate valves. So we had all that included in the project, but like I said, it's a little bit,
Yeah, it's not much, once you get them off, it's.
right, a little additional doing the course of bricks and,
Yeah.
I think it's like 110 bricks per manhole
Mm-hmm.
to build them up to where they need to be, so.
Now, they just finished the gas line, and we're gonna be all right? And doing that road over,
To repave, yeah,
settled enough?
well, it's hard to say, but, we don't wanna put it off another year because we got contractual obligations
yeah.
with the grants.
Well, and it's not for nothing, it sucks.
Yeah,
So,
the roads are horrible
I
right
mean,
now.
it's just awful.
So, I mean, they compacted well and they're not as deep,
Yeah, well, that's at the gas station, what, 2 or 3 feet?
3 feet.
3
so,
feet, yeah, so.
Plus that narrow trenches too.
Right, they
Yeah.
kept it a nice narrow trench and, you know, they compacted and paved every day and they've, you know, and it's heavy traffic, so they've got hammered.
Plus all the rain, I suppose it had settled down pretty good.
Yeah. Well, the rain doesn't help as much because they paved at the end of every day,
Yeah.
so it
yeah.
wasn't exposed to the rain. But, like I said, that they don't seem like they're settling much now, and like I said, they're getting hit with traffic all day, every day.
Yeah.
There's a lot of traffic on these roads now. And they did get, you know, the majority of this work coming down over the winter, so it still did see some winter weather. We had kind of a mild winter, so.
So it's not looking like it'll start with the paving until, what, September, October?
Yeah, something like that. September, October for these areas. We just pushed through, well, we haven't signed it yet, but an extension on the contract to do the Northeast Main Street, that paving next year, because if we give them, if we go by the contract with having 3 months of settle time, that'll put us in like
Mhm.
November, December, depending on when they finish.
Mm-hmm.
And then you run in the other end of the problem is when you pave below like 42 degrees, I forget what it is, but the asphalt delaminates, so then it starts coming apart, so that's not good. And then if we can put it through a winter freeze and thaw, the trench will settle, you know, as much as it's gonna settle. So I think we'll end up with a better product if we wait till the spring to pave that.
That's only on that section.
Just the Northeast Main. The rest of the road from Main Street all the way to the Blackstone Valley project should be done this fall.
That'd be good.
But we still have a little work to do in Gilboa Street in front of the pump station. So we got a valve chamber and it's a big bolt that's going in the ground. So we did tell them that they have to use flow fill there all around the structures just because they won't get the settling in time. So if they use flow fill, we won't have a settling issue.
Is that scheduled soon for the pump station?
So that's one of the delays, keeps getting pushed off. They were supposed to start in May. It got pushed off and then they said end of July, and then they said middle of August. Now
Yep.
it's August 28th is supposed to be when it's supposed to go in. The 21st is when they're gonna mobilize and start digging or start doing the work over there.
And that's for Charlie?
Yes.
How come they delayed?
Which excuse do you want? I mean, you know, they originally tried using the bridge contractor as the excuse. We told them no, start your work anyway. We'll get it worked around them. Then I knew that they weren't going to be on time because they didn't even send in the specs for the pump station until spring anyway, which it should have been done last fall, so it would all get approved and they could have ordered it. So then they finally got it all approved, and then the time to construct it, so their delivery date was, I think, beginning of August, and then that got delayed, so now then it was mid-August. Now the delivery date on the pump station is supposed to be the 28th or the 29th, so.
So they were looking for a change order based on the fact that with the bridge, and then that way they could put their change order in.
Right, so they were,
It wasn't their fault, then.
right, so they were gonna, and that's the way I looked at it, that's why I said, no, you move forward, don't worry about the other
Yeah.
contractor, we'll figure it out to work around them, but if we had said, all right, wait till the bridge is done, then they could have came in with a change order saying, oh, well, we had it all planned out to do
Yeah.
it ahead of time, and that threw off our schedule and cost us more money or whatever,
Mhm.
but,
So obviously that didn't fly, right?
yeah,
So when's the new pump station coming in?
end of this month.
The end of this month? But that's off the side of the road, right?
Yeah, but there is some work in the road. There's a valve chamber that connects the force main from the Blackstone Valley Logistics force main, and then our force main. They tie together so that they can both pump down all the way down here to across from Bucamus, and then so it's got check valves and gate valves and stuff inside, so we can isolate check valves if we need to repair them. But just so it all ties together, and
That's not gonna screw up the roadway, is it?
yeah,
It is?
yeah. But that's why I said we're gonna have flow fill around those structures when they do that work instead of just gravel and compaction. Just so we don't have to worry about settling issues because we want that
Okay.
paved this fall. So that should be done. Let's see, we're still working towards the North Street project. We got a meeting tomorrow night. You probably got notified.
Yeah.
The public outreach meeting for residents up there. That's tomorrow night. We got some preliminary plans on it showing, we'll have a big rollout thing showing the whole layout and everything. I don't know if you plan on attending that or not. But tomorrow
Is
night, I
everything
think-
working out pretty good up there? On that?
Well, we're trying to catch as much stuff as we can. So I mean, it's a water sewer project, and just while we're doing the water sewer project, we're trying to address all the other issues that are up there. I mean, if you drove up and down that road today, you'd see some of the drainage issues that really need to be addressed.
Hmm.
What time's that meeting tomorrow?
6 or 7, I forget. I can check.
There's a lot of problems with drainage up there, isn't there?
Yeah,
They doing that at the town hall, the high school?
at the town
Yeah,
hall.
the water comes from all over the place up there.
Yeah.
Especially up in your area, right?
Yeah, right from actually my,
Before him, there's some major
Yeah,
water. I videotaped some today.
yeah.
But before him, there's some major water, and then kind of right around his area,
Right now
picks
it's
up,
coming,
and then
yeah.
it's just like more and more and more.
Just starts at the top
gains.
and eventually,
And it makes it
Gains.
from basically around your place all the way to Gilboa Street.
yeah.
And then it kind of passes that catch basin there and heads down towards
Yeah,
Buchan.
it heads to the catch basin, but then
Goes
hooks on.
around it.
Goes
Yeah,
off.
hooks around it. And right now, my driveway, it needs to be, I gotta regrade it anyway, so right now, it's low, so all the water, instead of coming down the driveway and then going to the left and then diverting into the retention pond, it's coming down the driveway.
No.
So there's extra water which I have to, with so much rain, I got to get it regraded, so the water goes where it's supposed to, then it won't be as bad, but it'd be nice if there was they put like we talked about, I think they're going to, I haven't seen the plans yet, but putting a catch basin down at the bottom of the corner down there, so it does catch. And the
Yeah,
neighbor has a sump pump that continually runs.
Oh, really?
That constantly comes out, right, if you come out of my driveway and go right, it's always water coming right out of there, 'cause that retention pond fills up and that's just slow discharge coming through, but the pump comes out there too. So it combines, and, most of it, a lot of it's his sump pump running all the time.
Yeah.
And then
Can
the next
that-
one down,
Can
there's,
that
that
whole
pump
hill,
be
does
tied
it-
into the, or when we put new lines up there, would that drain that all out?
well, if they're doing the storm, the catch basins, it should
Yeah,
catch,
we're-
he'll catch all
We're
that.
trying to address everything.
Yeah.
Storm drains, there's a few sewer issues up there.
Well, the water table must be high.
Well, it's just
too,
like
because when we're
Bowen's
on
Court.
Gilboa Street, it comes right out of their driveways.
Yeah.
I mean, it just,
Yeah,
the ground.
Bowen's Court, that was a nightmare for years, and once we put the sewer in, all the drainage,
Yeah.
it solved their problem.
yeah.
But all those houses on Bowen's Court had pumps in there and everything else,
Yeah,
constant water.
and a lot of times in the springtime too as well, was all the houses on Pond Street in their backyards, when everything melts and the ground thaws, all the water comes down and goes into the that house on the right side of my driveway there, and fills up his backyard, and then it just dumps over into onto the driveway, the road, and then just dumps down and goes right down the road. So that, but years ago there was, when I built that house, they had an old septic tank, and it was like a manhole, and it was tied into the sewer.
Oh,
So when I was doing the house, I discovered, like, what the hell is this? And it was all tied into the sewer. So basically, all the water was coming down. It was using that as a catch basin and
coming down here.
down here.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I think, you know, we pushed hard to get them to extend the storm drain up to basically, I think it was up to Pond Street.
Yeah, that's what it needs, right up to there.
So right up the pond, to extend all that. Trying to straighten out some of the road in the areas that it's the hard corners and, you know, kind of slanted the wrong way, and there's some issues there. Unfortunately, Green sold their house,
Oh, they did?
which, I don't know, how long have they been there, 40 years?
Yeah,
I mean, they've been there
forever.
forever,
Who
and
sold the house?
Green,
Oh, really?
yeah. So that's that first hard corner where we kind of need to take that corner to straighten that out a little bit, but, and they were all for, you know, donating the land or whatever to fix the road to make it safer, but we'll see how the new owner is, but I think they'll be kind of pulling all that together to show what kind of takings they'll have to be, and you know, that's adding sidewalks all the way up, all on one side of the road, so that'll be nice. That'll add a safety factor there.
Is that pretty well straightened out where the sidewalks are gonna be on one side now?
Yep. You know, right now, I mean, that's why we're having the meeting tomorrow, to get everybody's input, just to see who has issues with anything, or if they'd like to see anything different, or, and I think one of the big topics was trees, what trees will come down. There's a bunch of trees up there that are pretty big, that are close to the road, that are looking pretty dead, so I think this project will take care of some of those. It's a matter of what we can tie into the scope and not. So,
No, they're gonna run a new culvert all the way up there and try to solve all the problems with water.
as much as we can, there's, you know, from like I said, extend it from where it is now. I forget where it ends
And
now.
what are they gonna dump it down
Ends.
here in the river, or?
It'll all come down here and goes to the river.
It ends right by Dick Wallace's driveway,
Yeah.
right just a little bit before his driveway.
Yeah. So
That's where
just
it-
after Green,
Yeah,
or right at Greens.
yeah.
So it would extend that, and then when you get up over the hill and down the other side, heading towards like Brown Road or the Sutton line, there's an area there, the road is just destroyed because of ponds right there. So we
Mhm.
looked at trying to address that and get some drainage in there. So we'll try to tie it all together.
That'd be good. I will say mine, I get that one, it's coming out pretty good now. Mine,
Yeah.
I'll wait, and you can see what's going. And normally it doesn't do that, normally it goes into the retention pond,
Right.
but I haven't regraded it, it's been 8 years since I regraded it, so. And with all this rain this year, I've actually washed it out a little more.
Yeah, that road is tough with the water comes from everywhere.
Oh, yeah. Always been a wet area.
Yeah, I always say they call it Pond Street because somebody filled it in and made a development on top of a pond.
Wasn't a lot of, lowlands that swampy down there behind, Wayne's house?
There is.
Wayne Salem?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you go up Pond Street on the right side.
That's pretty wet down in there, I remember that from
It
years
was
ago.
well.
There's a lot of wet spots on that side of the road as you come down.
Yeah, it's actually, the water table's kind of weird up there. If you go up where my driveway is, the first 100 feet, 150 feet, you hit bedrock probably 8, 10 feet, probably 8 feet maybe. You gotta hit ledge,
Mm-hmm.
maybe not even 8 feet. And then the water table, the water must hit that and just come up from there.
That's all. ponding right
Yeah,
there.
and then you go back right where the first house is on the left, going my driveway.
Mm-hmm.
Once you get back, almost to the back side of that house, you can go down 20, as deep as the X-ray will go, it's 22 feet, they hit water. But you can go in front, you're at water, because the way the ledge must come up, water just ponds right against that, it overflows.
Yeah.
And there's nothing, it's all beach sand from that point all the way up to my house, is all just sand. I dug my foundation up there, I don't think I got a stone as big as a fist.
Really?
It's all just sand, like gravel and sand.
Yeah.
That's weird. It's kind of weird.
So then, so that's that project. Like I said, I think after tomorrow's meeting, we'll get a lot of input there. There'll probably be some discussion on the tank. So we went up and measured trees and stuff, and I think the trees are just about as high as the tank will be. So I don't think anyone will really see the tank. It's far enough off the road, and there's a lot of trees there, so it'll. I think it'll blend in pretty well, and we can paint it whatever color we want to.
Oh, is that tank going in the same time?
Yeah.
Oxford?
Yep, so, I guess there's a little discussion back and forth on what type of tank. It's gonna be an elevated tank, but whether you go with the, what do they call it? Composite tank,
Is it a balloon tank like that?
so you've got the pedestal spheroid kind of comes up like this, and then like a golf
Yeah.
ball. So there's that style, and there's like a man door on the bottom, so you have a little storage area down there. But then they have the, I think they call it a composite tank. It's concrete cylinders going up. That's bigger, and you can have like a garage door and a man door, so you have more storage in there.
Is that like the tank on Franklin Street, or
No,
they don't do gun nights anymore?
oh, they do, but the problem with that is you've got half the tank is not usable water.
Oh.
So we want to bring it up higher, so the whole volume of the tank is usable and we get more turnover.
Mm-hmm.
Just water quality wise, it's better, and like I said, so originally they were proposing a 500,000 gallon tank up here, and when I kept running through all my numbers, I came up with 300,000. And they said they ran through their numbers and came up with 500,000. But after we gave them all the numbers we had, they came back down to 300,000. So it'll probably be a 300,000 gallon tank, a pedestal style. So it's either that kind that has the wider base, but it's like open space inside that with just a pipe going up the middle,
Mm-hmm.
and then it goes up, and it's you know, probably have some.
That's that way, there's only one pipe, right? It pumps up and then comes back out better.
Yeah, and it'll probably have a mixer in the tank. And adding the additional storage, I said that we needed the mixer in the other tank as well. Just because you got a lot of volume there, that the water's going up and down at the same time. You got 300,000 there and 750,000 over there. You're over 1 million gallons. And where it's a elevated storage tank, we're going to turn over a lot more volume in that. So the water will get old. So we want it mixing, and we want to try to turn it over as much as we can. So, you know, but with the elevated tank, you get better fire protection. You get more usable volume for fire protection. You know, if we went with an elevated tank on Franklin Street, you probably could have got away with a 3 or 500,000 instead of a 750,000. Because you just have that water in reserve for fire protection.
Mm-hmm.
But you get to a point where you have no pressure at the bottom of the tank, so this will just work better, and it'll solve a lot of the issues that we have up that end of the tank. You know, right now, anytime we have a break or anything, we've only got one pipe going up there. If you got a storage tank, you can go 2 or 3 days without losing water.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be fed from that direction or this direction. And then if we do the loop through Pine, that's gonna add another.
Is that gonna help out the problems we've had on Gilboa Street?
Which problems I'm doing?
Well, every time you shut the water off, it drains off the top of Gilboa. Caswell.
So that's not gonna fix that problem over there yet. the only way we're gonna fix that problem is if, when they do that project at the top of Caswell, if they leak through the Pond Street, then that will benefit that, because then they'll never have that drop in
Yeah.
pressure.
I mean, it's not very often, but we've had the problem a few times.
Yeah, I mean, like last Tuesday.
Oh, really? Yeah, that's right too.
Yeah, we had the water main break on Manchog Street, so
Yeah.
we found the casting in that pipe in 1909.
What
So,
happened to that? What was that?
It was a longitudinal break.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it split down the pipe this way.
Is that what happened a few years ago?
Yeah.
Same thing?
The piece there.
That's it?
There was no hydrant activity on this one, was there?
No, that's what I said. I called John to let him know he wasn't gonna have any fire protection out there. He goes, "Oh, we weren't out playing," but then this fire truck goes by. I'm like, "Your fire truck just went by." He's like, "We were just bringing it back from getting it repaired." so, yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, so highway came out and dug for us, so that was a huge help.
Now, is
there.
that a cast iron pipe or?
Yeah.
It's not door iron. It's cast iron.
It's what?
No,
Not ductile iron. It's
ductile iron.
No, yeah.
It's not that, it's cast iron.
cast iron. It's from 1909. They didn't even invent.
Oh.
Didn't even
That's the
invent
original
ductile iron
line.
yet. Yeah.
So with all these new lines down here and the pressure increase,
We're not really
Well, that-
increasing the pressure,
just the flow?
so just the volume.
The volume,
Yeah.
the pressure is the height.
Okay. Not that wouldn't have any,
So it really shouldn't affect that too much unless somebody's over in that area playing, because the pipes going up Gilboa that way are so choked down
Mhm.
that all that will absorb any shock and pressures. So the only way it would affect it is like now we've got high flows over there. We did a flow test, I think. So originally before we did any of this work, the flows were probably a little under 500 gallons a minute, and now we're up to 4,100 gallons a minute.
Wow.
that's terrific.
So
Oof.
we had a huge increase. Definitely helped a lot over there and fixed issues we had. And that's not even with the loop yet coming through the CRG project. So
Mhm.
once we feed through that, we'll gain a few more gallons a minute, probably 300 gallons a minute more there.
That's what they're doing now, they're running that up a little bit.
Yeah, so they've got the pipe almost run all the way through the project over on the CRG project. They just got to come up that driveway, but they can only do that on the weekends because that's their only entrance
Oh, yeah.
until they get the bridge done. So this weekend, I think they plan on trying to put some more water main in, but I'm not sure. They were going to do it 2 weekends ago. When they started digging, it was all ledge. So they just stopped and they got 2 guys in here with machines and just excavated the whole thing, hammered it all out, the whole access road, and then backfilled it all.
Oh, really?
So now they'll come back and dig it back up and put the
Over
pipe
there
in.
it's all sand, and over here it's all
It's
ledge.
just certain spots.
Yeah.
I mean, they took out a lot
You
of.
got down that hill over there.
Yeah.
That's where the ledge kicks in.
Yeah. So, I'll see what they get done this weekend up there for pipe. And then hopefully timing wise, Ricciardi will be up there just about the time they're there. And then we can tie all that together.
How is that building coming? They getting all the slabs in now and everything?
All the walls are up. I think they've got a couple openings.
Oh, really?
They have the pieces there, but they have openings to get the crane in and out for the steel and everything. So, a lot of the steel's up. Yeah, they're moving quick now.
Yeah, there was a big delay on getting panels.
Yeah, and then they got 2 companies coming, and the panels are coming in crazy. So,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. But I think they're almost on target still.
Oh, good.
They caught back up.
That's good.
But yeah, you should take a drive over that. Building is huge. I don't know if you've seen it.
I haven't seen it yet, no. I've
You-
seen when they started, I've been by it, I just haven't looked over there.
Yeah.
I seen when they had some walls up, but it was way down this end.
Yeah. Actually, if you go down Charles Street, you can kind of see it through Boston a little bit.
Mhm.
So what else we got? So Depot Street, I haven't gotten anywhere yet on that. We'll probably have to move some money at fall town meeting so that I can get the engineering going.
Did they come up with that number that was voted on the meeting that we attended?
They
Is that number still,
No, so that was amended. Lisa sent me the meeting minutes on when they amended it.
so how much did they amend? What was it amended to?
I'll have to double check. Hold on quick.
Well, just for discussion first, I guess I wanna make sure that we're gonna move forward with this project that, I think I'm gonna go back to Keith's original idea, which I originally wasn't too sure of, but I think he's right, is start from that end and work this way. Because I think if they're cutting that down a couple $100,000, the idea of the whole thing was to make sure that was looped.
Looped.
So if we start on the other end and get that loop and then come down and then have a discussion, if we can't finish the project, that who's gonna pay for that? The upgrade is for the municipal center to get that, for the fire protection. And that's gonna help them substantially, that was to get that up there. So if we run out of money and get up to Railroad Avenue,
Yeah.
we can't loop it. I mean, granted, that line will be upgraded, but
So they
it doesn't fix the problem that we originally started about.
They reduced it by $208,583.60.
So that leaves what, 3.1 million?
It was 1.6.
It was
right?
1.6, I believe, so that now it would be down to 1.3902, something like that. So it depends on where the bids come in.
So I think maybe we should look at it and just re-strategize on the how we're gonna do that. And then if we do start the other run, like Keith had suggested at the beginning, to make sure that gets tied through.
Yep.
Then it comes down, and then if there's a shortfall, then that should go for either through capital to increase the rest of whatever's the difference of that might be on coming down the rest of Depot Street, because the purpose of that is gonna be for the town hall. Because the water already is adequate for everything else. It's a
Well,
fire
it was,
protection.
it was addressing some of our issues with water
Yeah.
quality and stuff over there. That was why it was one of the projects that we presented, so.
Yeah. Well, along with that, but I mean primarily
But I
the
would have to go back and check the meeting, but I thought that the agreement was that they would provide that and then the water sewer would cover the rest. But
well, they
I know
reneged on
they reduced
$200,000.
it by 200,000,
Yeah,
so.
so we have to
Yeah,
look at
we'll have to look at it, but until we get the engineering done and find out what bids come in at. I mean, hopefully people will be aggressive again, and,
Mhm.
pipe prices come down a little, and hopefully we'll be in good shape. But if I can get the engineering done and try to put the pipe out to bid first, that worked out well the last time. I don't know how well it'll work out this time. We caught it just at the right time last time, so it worked out well for us, but.
Might be easier to come by now.
No.
Still not?
No.
Was there any discussion, have you had any discussion with DCI yet on trying to get down the rail bed?
Not yet. I think Bob was gonna work on that, so we're gonna find out if we can get an easement.
Yeah, I know we talked about that.
Mhm.
Probably wanna
To be honest,
check on that sooner, because I still think they're gonna do that project coming down the rail bed,
yeah.
so.
Well,
I'm
to be
not
honest,
sure
I'd
what
like to get the easement from Franklin Street all the way to Monroe. If we can get that down the rail bed all the way that way, that opens up the actual possibility to loop it over on Monroe, from Davis Street, come up Monroe that way and loop it down that way. Because if you try to go, is that Maple? Try to go Maple, the height just goes up so high that
All right,
we would lose our we wouldn't have any flow, because that'd probably be higher than our tank. I'd have to check the actual elevation, but
It'd be close.
Yeah.
Who owns the railroad bed now?
it's about, I can tell you,
Providence Worcester Railroad.
I think the elevation is what, I always remember a story Harry Potter told me once was, building his
Oh,
house.
his house, yeah.
When they went to the second floor, they said, hand me up the hose. When they got to the second floor, the water was coming out. When they got to the second floor, the water stopped, and they bring the hose down and it would come out.
Right, yeah.
So he said that was the height of the, that's the,
That's the elevation of the tank.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think some of that problem got solved when we put the tank in, didn't it? A little bit. Well, it's still pretty.
I'm not sure.
I don't know what the
Pretty
elevation of the
high.
old
Yeah.
tank was, but
Well, there was times that the water pressure at the house was pretty low,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah, but if we could, that's our only option to get it to loop over to Davis.
I mean, nice to get the easement the whole way, but I think for the purpose of this project was to at least get that water.
We need to get
line.
that section, but if we're gonna go for an easement, have the conversation with them, and if we can get it from there to there in one shot,
Yeah,
better to do that now.
and I think the timing for them doing their work, we might wanna get that pipe in, if we can get an easement and get that pipe in first.
Right.
To get off, you know, so
Yeah.
it's tied in over on Maple and then
Yep,
stub it off onto, and then start coming down.
right. I agree. Yeah, but we gotta get working on that one, but I can't do anything until, you know, originally there was conversation that we were gonna try to use some of the ARPA to get the engineering going sooner, and then that didn't work out, but we didn't budget the full amount for the engineering, so now I gotta wait till town meeting so I can sign that contract. But, I think that's it for projects right now. Well, no, we have the asset management projects going on as well, so we've already started the sewer asset management. We went through a bunch of the stuff here. I can tell you some of their recommendations, but some of them, they're out of their mind, so. You know, we brought up one of the concerns of the UV, it was obsolete when they put it in. And it took me, I think, a year and a half of fighting with the manufacturer of the ballast to get them to sell them to us directly, because they're out of Germany. They said you had to be a distributor, the only distributor went out of business, so I was fighting back and forth with them, they finally agreed to sell them direct to us. So we had, I think, 3 or 4 rebuilt, and then we bought 2 new ones. So we have 2 on the shelf, and the other ones are fairly new, so all the ones that are installed now. So we bought all those, we bought ballast, we bought lights. So we've got a supply to get us by for a while, but it's really hard getting parts now for them. So they're saying that, you know, looking at it from an asset management standpoint, you need to start planning to replace that. But when they said it, they're like, oh, well, all right, so do you want to replace that this year? And I'm like, yeah, no, budget's already set. And they're like, well, it'll be like $2 million. I'm
Oh.
like, yeah, my budget isn't even $2 million, so never mind having an extra $2 million in it.
$2 million to replace the UVs?
So that was my concern when I first came here. We call it a Franken reactor just because it's a small UV system. It's like half the length of this table. It's a high pressure. The bulbs are 4,000 watts each, and there's 4 bulbs in there, so it's 16,000 watts of UV in a little chamber like that. It'll kill anything.
I guess.
Anything that is not that type, and I think there's only 2 of those in New England, and then the company's not in business anymore. So the problem is, yeah, it was great because it took up a small footprint, but an equivalent system in the more common, what everyone has, would probably take up close to this room, you know, lengthwise. So they're open channel ones with a bunch of them in, you know, you probably put 16 or 17 racks in a row, in a channel. So that building would have to either be modified or extended off the back. I think they included adding a garage just because they're like, oh, well, you're building, so you should add garage. But and it wouldn't be a bad idea, but we'd have to look at that a little more. So, like I said, that's not going to be on the top of my list of things that we need to fix. There's a few other things, but once I get a little closer to finalizing that, I'll go over all those things with you guys, just to show you the things that they're saying we need to look at. The Gilboa Street pump station's getting replaced now, so that'll fix that. We evaluated most of the sewer system. We only have a few problems here and there to fix. We'll address some of those up North Street when we do that project. Davis Street pump station, that's fairly new when you look at the whole thing. The next thing I would probably look at is probably Colonial pump station. And I'd probably look at replacing that with something like they're doing over here on Gilboa Street. Kind of a package system, you just dig the hole and drop it in. And I would go with the rail pumps like we do. I mean, that's all of our pumps around here, except for Colonial. It's got the Smith & Loveless, so it sits up on top and it has to pull a suction up almost 20 feet. So it has a little vacuum assist to keep a suction in the line, but when that fails, it takes forever to get the pumps going again. And they're very susceptible to clogging.
I know they're talking about the disaster management plan, but didn't FST, didn't we have a plan on that? Of what needed to be, they laid out some things that need to be done. I have to go back and look. I know on the water
We never
side.
did anything with FST on the sewer side. we asked them to do an we asked them to do a master plan.
Yeah.
Or whatever, we got that 20-year
Yeah,
plan for the water.
yeah,
We asked them to do the same thing on the wastewater, but I think they, we originally budgeted like 40,000 to try to do one, and they said, oh well, I don't know that that's even enough to get started. They wanted like 140 for the first phase,
okay,
just to start doing it. So what happened was we came across this grant, and now we're getting most of that done through a
Okay.
grant. So we'll get a good head start on it, and then we'll see where we need to improve. But they came in and went through everything. Everything at the treatment plant here, the pump stations, pretty much everything. They looked at all our sewer, all the stuff that we did with the cameras and the I&I work, so they'll incorporate all that
mm-hmm,
to kind of come up with a final plan as to what we need to improve and what we need to look at over probably the next 20 years or so.
so there was nothing, so Stantec didn't take, when Stantec took over, there was nothing done after that, from that?
We've never done any sewer work with Stantec.
Okay, that's right, yeah, because we always had them on the water side.
It was always Beta, and we
Yeah.
haven't done anything
Anything
with
with
anyone
them,
since
yeah.
then, so
Yeah.
it's been a long time.
Yeah,
Yeah, the last time we did anything with Beta was this plant
Building
here.
this plant, yeah,
Yeah.
and then they just kind of fell off the face of the planet. They're probably a little embarrassed on how this project went. And we started to try to work Stantec into the sewer, and I mean, other than the pump station on Gilboa, they
Mhm.
haven't really done any of the sewer work for us.
Is Beta still around?
Yeah.
Right?
A lot of the original people are gone from there now.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Alessio,
Yeah.
remember him?
Yeah, he must be retired by
I think
now.
he retired, yeah. Not too long ago.
Yeah.
But anyway, so because Ty and Bond was already approved as a vendor through the state for the asset management stuff, we went with them on that. And I kind of like having two different engineering firms that are familiar with the stuff.
Yeah.
Ty and Bond already did the other stuff, and we got grants to do the GIS mapping.
Mhm.
So that's another thing that we get out of that plan is we get a GIS thing now.
Oh, good.
And an iPad that we can go around and do all the work in field work. All that was through the grant as part of the project, so that was helpful. That's some of our in-kind services, because we gotta put work into it
Mhm.
to do kind of our contribution. So we'll start working on that in our spare time. So we're gonna go out and GIS all the gate valves and stuff like that. This is for the sewer, so we do the sewer manholes.
The water's not ready, no, but we're gonna,
Nope, so I got the water,
Oh, we did that already.
the water one I got the grant this year for. They don't wanna start on that until we finish the wastewater one, which I wanna say we're at like 78% on the wastewater. So now we gotta go out and do some of our stuff to tie it all together and get a lot of it done in the GIS. And it's already in the GIS, but we'll make improvements to it. Every year they offered the grants towards the GIS, I improved them each time.
Yeah, didn't Adam go out and locate, where you working, didn't Adam help with some of that?
Adam was doing the catch basins and the storm drains.
Okay.
So he started doing that. I got him the free version of the GIS stuff.
Yeah.
And tried to work him through that. But then they stopped doing the free version, and then I think he was trying to get an actual seat on the GIS. I don't think he's got that done yet though. And then
Remember
when
they
Bill
was
left, we
work.
lost all that stuff. But I happened to grab some of it one time. So I have some of Adam's stuff for him. But he still doesn't have a GIS seat per se, a license. So once we get him up and running again, then I'll send him all those files.
What, did he delete it before he left?
Bill had them all saved on this tiny URL site. When we switched to the new vendor for the website and everything, we lost that tiny URL folder, and nobody had pulled all that information in.
Oh,
So, and Bill was the only one that really knew that address. I had it just because he sent me something, and I kind of backed
yeah. I remember
through it
that's
to,
what he told me.
to get it.
Yeah.
So I grabbed some stuff
Yeah.
when I had a chance, but I didn't grab everything that we probably should have grabbed.
Yeah.
So we'll start the water one after this one. And I think by the time they get going on the water, we'll be in decent shape because we just redid the pumps at Primary. We just redid both pumps up at Glen this last month. Once we get everything running and we get the sampling done that we need to do, we're going to do turbine next. And then basically all this, I mean, they couldn't believe the condition of the Glen Street wells because there's been nothing done to those since they were put in.
It was in the
28
80s.
28 years.
Late 80s, so?
28
In the 90s.
In the 90s?
So 28 years, and he's like, man, we hear people that didn't do anything with a pump for 28 years, they're usually falling off, and you know, you can't get them to come clean, and they look fairly clean. I got the videos from before they started and when they finished, but you know, they were in great shape. The pumps were in decent shape, but worn. You know, it's almost 30 years of pumping every single day. So we had them rehabbed, so the pumps are back. I think we gained, what's the say up to 240. So we gained probably 50 gallons a minute. So production's up better, so that's good with all this stuff going on. So once we do turbine, hopefully we'll get a little more out of that one. When we did the pumps at Primary, we gained some there, so our actual pumping volume has increased over the past few years.
It'd be nice if we could change primary, but we know that
I know.
they can't get they won't allow the,
Well, they want us to put submersibles in,
yeah.
but I don't want to drill wells and put submersibles in. I mean, that well works fine. It's the original wells, and we maintain them.
Yeah.
The problem with tubular well fields is there's not a lot of people that know how to maintain them. So people just let them go, and when they fail, they just shut that well off. Well, we keep digging them up and fixing them when they have a problem. So instead of just
Dave's still
deleting.
doing that for us?
Dave came in to show Steve. I didn't have time to go through it with Steve, so I had Dave come in and show him all of his tricks. And, so now Steve knows how to do it. So you know, between me and Steve, we'll continue to rehab them and fix whatever we need to fix.
I remember talking to, back in DEP, Joseph Sarudi,
Yeah.
he was down here, I met him down here, we wrote some stuff on Aqua and stuff like that. And that came up in primary, he said it'd be hard pressed to get a permit to drill, to put wells in it, he said, because of the landfill behind it.
Yeah.
And he said that water could be, he said, you got good water, he said it's shallow, but, and then you shoot the water, he said, so,
A lot of quality issue.
you guys drill, now you're tapping into something.
Yeah.
There's a landfill behind.
If anything, I'd probably look at, I mean, the water quality from turbine
Mhm.
is probably our best water quality. So I'd probably go look behind turbine, you know, go a little further back and put another well back there. I would like to find a source somewhere else, so we should look at some of those other potential sites that we had. You know, some down South Street or,
And there is water down there, not even piping.
oh, I know, it's a long way to go, but what's your alternative if, you know, you look at a $20 million treatment plant or you run pipe up?
Yeah,
You know, might not be much less for the pipe, but
yeah, today's price is right.
but then you get another source. So I would like to, you know, once we settle down with some of these projects, that'll be the next thing we really should start focusing on, is looking at 2 or 3 of the other sites that we identified as potential sources and go out and determine if they are. If they're not, let's take them off the protection and use the land. And
Yeah.
if they are, then either start working on purchasing it or whatever. You know, just for the future. So asset management, lead service line. That's the third of the other side projects that we got going on. That's we got a full $200,000 grant to do that project. So we started that one. Lee's been spending a ton of time trying to gather all that information. So we'll move forward with that. That's a slow one, but all these water main projects that we're doing kind of helps that whole project, because it eliminates all the old lead goosenecks with the iron services. We eliminated a lot when we did this. I say a lot, but there was really not a lot of services on this whole line to begin with, so.
But there was some goosenecks on, like
Oh,
goosenecks? No kidding.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that main coming down Gilboa was old, and the main going down,
Mhm.
or down north and down Gilboa was all
Oh, really?
old pipe, yeah. So, most of those were lead goosenecks. And, you know, I argue back and forth with the state on the method of identifying whether or not you got lead goosenecks, and, you know, they want you to go in a house and look at it. If it's iron pipe coming in, you assume it's a lead gooseneck. I'm like, that's a lousy way to do it, cause we could've changed it from the
Yeah.
main to the curb, and then you don't have a lead gooseneck, or
Mm-hmm.
you could have replaced from the curb to the house, and it could still be a lead gooseneck, and now you get plastic inside, so
Right,
they're
yeah.
assuming it's not. And this was a prime example. I got to find my photos, but we pulled one service that when we dug it up and went to the thing, there was 3 different materials. We had iron, we had copper, and we had plastic. So you have no idea just looking at that. So the better method would be to go down and dig up at the curb stop and look at what materials on each side.
Mm-hmm.
So that way you know what's likely going into the house and what's likely going to the main.
Yeah.
But then you get contractors that come through and do sewer or drain work, and half of those are like, yeah, it's easier to fix it than it is to find it. So they just rip through them and then they go in and piece it back together.
Mm-hmm.
I know they did that on Gilboa Street, but on Upper Gilboa, because we found some of those where they patched through. So, all right, that's it for projects now.
All right, what do we got next?
Yeah, you kind of skipped the P discussion.
Oh, fee discussion.
Fee
yeah.
discussion.
Yeah, that was, I wanted to just get, work
Well,
on
we
that.
got the end of the year and the projects
Yeah.
update, so.
Yeah. So the fee discussion, I wanted to go over, is there, looking through some stuff on, so back when it was in 2016, we had the meeting on that, and the rates, when Doug did the whole proposal there.
Mm-hmm.
So when that was voted, that was in 2000, the meeting was, let's see, August 22nd, 2016, so that was voted, which was fine. And then we had the next set was, July 19th, there was a meeting, 2021, and there was the new fees, but, so the question was if it was never amended. When this one was done, it didn't amend it, it just said new fees, and then it doesn't have all the fees that were listed on the previous one. So, and it's confusing to try to go back, if you try to look up the fees, you gotta look through multiple different years of when it
That
was
was the one
approved.
that Doug did?
So there was one Doug did 2016, then the one that we did in 2021. But we never amended, it wasn't amending this one, it was adding a new fee. But the way it was voted, as I had a question, that's why, what I'd like to do, I think, to clean it up, was to take the fees from the 2016, because not much had changed from that. Some of the stuff, I think we should go through and look at them and then maybe update some of those. And then, the rates were different, but like if you look at how it was worded in here, it's saying the water new billing fees as of 7/25, but the meeting was the 19th, so I think it should be reflective of the 19th is when that was voted. And it shouldn't be fees, it should be rates, because it's saying these are included, these are rates, and these are fees, and it's saying just all fees. So it was voted together as rates and fees, but it doesn't say rates, it just says fees. So I think it's two separate issues. So I think what I wanted to do was just kind of clean it up and have a sheet or a report showing just all the fees that are in here. Because those are rates, we're not even discussing the rates, just the fees. That were voted back in 2016. that's all.
So I can try to put it, I mean, I don't think we have the,
That way, then we can vote on it and say, and then all the fees were amended. Basically, you're taking all the old stuff and it's gone, and you have one new
Right.
set of fees.
These
Instead
are
of
fees
taking-
right here that we have now, right?
This is what's in Munis.
right, that's,
Yeah.
That's what's
that's
in
the majority of the fees.
Yeah.
There's other things, and there's probably a few that we need to have discussions on.
This is just Munis?
And put policies in place. You know, there's one thing that almost every town has that we don't is a hydrant connection
Mhm.
fee. There should be a permit that they come in if they wanna connect to a hydrant for either hydro seeding or dust control or filling up a tanker or whatever. We should have a permit in place that has a fee, and then it's, I think most towns usually charge $100 for the permit. And then whatever you use for water, they pay for the water.
And that's for,
For a hydrant connection, so if somebody
Somebody
wants to
wants-
take water off of a hydrant, we need to
Right,
go
yeah.
out now, so.
Yeah,
do
we
a-
don't allow that.
Oh, we do. Yeah, you go out, we have a specific backflow preventer and a meter that hook onto a hydrant, so that we can fill tanker trucks with it.
Oh, so we've been
Actually-
doing that.
yeah, I think it's off.
So
Right here.
it's actually set up right
Yeah,
here.
that's, we set that up for that purpose.
Yeah, we almost always do it here, but we actually have a hydrant and backflow set up at the CRG site, cause they're using a boatload of water over there. So they should sit down when they get that bill. But we can buy her a new truck.
Yeah, and I don't know what, like, say a hydro seeder wants to come in, I mean, I don't know what a fair fee is to, 'cause he's not taking a lot of water. You know, I mean, how many gallons is a,
So, and
well,
that's,
the big hydro seeders do, but you look at the smaller guys.
but that's what you gotta look at too, is do you do it, it's every time they wanna get on it, do they have to do a permit? Or do you do a permit that says, alright, it's good for a week?
Oh, I see what you're saying, yeah, yeah.
You
Or,
know, you gotta fill out a permit, but then you need to let us know. I mean,
do a
and,
permit, yeah.
I mean, it takes time and that thing's heavy.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
there's a lot of work involved in setting it up and
Yeah.
bracing it and everything else to make it so that you know, you're not
Well,
snapping
how
pieces
often do
out.
they come in and do that?
It varies. I mean, we used to set it up when they held the little animal thing there that they did up at
the circus.
Yeah, yeah,
circus.
yeah,
Yeah. When they did the circus up there, we used to set it up for them up there all the time. But that was setting it up from the hydrant at the dump and run lines all the way down to where they used to do the circus. They used it over on Joseph when they were doing that. They used it, I think Williams did it once. Blackstone Valley was doing it. So when they're doing the bigger projects, especially when they need the dust control, you know, they use a ton of water for
Mhm.
dust control. Like we built Blackstone Valley like 20 grand for the water over there. These guys,
Yeah, they can't pump out of the rivers or anything.
no, I think they tried to and they couldn't get permission to pump it from the river, which would have been a better scenario. But kind of crazy to fill up a tanker full of water and spray it
Mm.
over the ground that we treat to drinking water. You know?
Right.
But I'm in the business of selling water, so
Yeah,
I'm not going to complain.
yeah, something like that, you know.
Um,
Well, yeah, I think just to kind of go through it, there was some of the fees. We also, when we come up with a fee, we have to make sure that we have to talk with Lee and make sure it can be implemented, because that leads me to another part was with the billing on the final reads with that breakdown.
Yeah.
The water side is correct, but the sewer side, people are getting charged an extra $50 every time they do a final read. And we had one particular case, it was like $200 that he shouldn't get charged.
Yeah.
yeah. So you,
So we have that fee, but we can't implement it because we can't do it through Munis.
right.
So it's either, and we need to correct it somewhere else in our paperwork. So whatever we vote on, we gotta make sure it's compatible with Munis and can be
Munis.
implemented.
And those are things that you need to be specific when you do it. I know that you're in favor of the prorated, so that you're only paying that fee once. A lot of towns, if you use the water for one day, you get the fee.
Mm.
So in that instance, if you did a final read 3 times, they'd get that fee 3 times. So you just gotta decide if that's the way you want it, or if you want it prorated, so you know you're only if it's $50, we bill twice a year, there's $100 revenue coming in for that, doesn't matter how many owners.
I just went off of what was voted.
I know, I'm just saying, I'm
So
just telling you that,
whether, yeah, if we can
Right.
change it but as long as it's changed, but the water's being billed prorated.
Right.
The sewer's being billed, it's supposed to be prorated, but it's not. It's being lumped, every time you do a final read, it's getting, so if somebody gets a final read, say they were closed and they get a final read, and then the next bill goes out,
Is that the sewer or the water?
sewer, I think it is,
I
right?
think you might
I
have it
think it
backwards.
Is it backwards?
sewer.
I think it's backwards.
Well, whatever, so
No,
one,
yeah,
one is,
no,
Because
you're
we
right.
didn't
It's
change
water.
the structure, because both of them were prorated originally in Munis, but when we switched to the meter
right,
fee, it changed
okay, yeah,
that.
that's right, so it was the water.
Right,
It was
so the
water.
sewer was probably still getting right, and the water
Water
wasn't,
is-
because it's included in the consumption calculation.
Yeah, so
So-
it's getting, instead of being broken down monthly, cause it was a $50 annual
Yeah.
fee or whatever it was, I think it's $50.
Billing cycle.
So it's supposed to be so much for 6 months, broke out in 6 months on the billing thing.
Yeah, so I think it's on the water side.
So the suicide's being done that way, but the water side's not. So we gotta make sure that if we're gonna do it either one or the other, right now it's both are getting done. One's being done
One way and one a
one and
different
one
way.
the other
yeah.
way. And if you read your bill, the math doesn't work until you figure it all out. If you do all the math on a bill, if you add it all up, it doesn't come out to, you have to figure out what the difference is and
And you have to understand that
understand that to,
the base meter fee is included in
It's
the
included.
consumption number. So,
Well, wasn't that already corrected now that
No.
that's gonna be broken out?
well, I think we tried, it's gonna be
I
a
think we
note.
have language on the bill.
Yeah,
that
the last one
explains
it wasn't, but I think it was supposed to be, the new one coming out, it's supposed to be, you can put language on there, some sort so people can try to figure out and say that meter fee is built in. But that's only one of the issues, the other issue was the prorated
Right,
part.
doing it,
That's
whether
what
it's-
there was
Whether you want it
actually two
prorated or
issues.
you wanna bill it every time.
Yeah. But I think there was 2 issues on that, I have to go back and look. So I just, think what I would like to do is just to clean, my intention would be and I hope the board would like to just clean it all up, so we're not trying to pull from multiple years, amend the previous ones.
Yeah.
And have a fee schedule that was amended, takes all this in consideration and puts it in there, and then make sure it can be implemented in the munis side. And then and then go over the fees if we're happy with all the fees, that are in place. And if you add some, delete some if we need, whatever it may be, or amend some, whatever, maybe raise some, delete, lower some. Just kinda go through it, so have a clean
And fees
slate.
we can do that without any issue, rates we can't.
Yeah, rates, I'm not
Rates
gonna,
are-
yeah, that's the rates.
The rates of what we
Right.
did in
Right, that was
2021.
voted. Yeah, the rates are what was voted. So the fee is what I wanted to just discuss. And the other, one of the things I wasn't in favor of is the non-payment fee it was always
The
50.
shut-off fee for non-payment.
Yeah, shut-off fee for non-payment went to like $200 or something.
Well, it didn't go to, it's always been $100 on, $100 off when it's non-payment. When it's a shut-off because someone calls and says, hey, I'm leaving for the winter, can you shut the water off? It's 50 on, 50 off.
Yeah,
But it's always been the 100, but in Munis, we didn't have it as the 100, so people were not getting charged correctly before. But we got that fixed in Munis, so that one was being billed correctly now.
so it's actually being billed correctly, but
Whether you agree
I
with
don't
the
agree
fee or
with the
not,
fee. I mean, you got somebody that.
that's a different story, but
Right, they get a $300 bill, water bill, and they're getting charged $100, $200 for a late fee. I think to me, is excessive. I think we're
I
part
don't
of
think
the
it's a
problem.
late fee, it's to send them in
I
and
mean-
out in a truck.
Yeah, not a late fee, I should say.
Yeah.
so sometimes
Well,
there's a
shut
lot of
it
work
off.
involved, so you gotta,
And sometimes it's after hours, it could be overtime.
like the one up
Well, I
here,
think-
the one up here on North Street, when Knucklehead broke it trying to shut it off, ended up being overtime. We had highway out here, there was a whole crew, that was probably a $6,000 job to fix the shut off because we were trying to shut it off for non-payment. So it turns into a huge expense for us if something goes wrong. So that's just something that you need to think about or consider when you're thinking about that fee.
Right,
So-
and there is, I mean, you get the exception to every rule, and I just don't think we should be a part of the problem when you have a bill that's $200 and you're getting another bill for on and off. And I was looking through that too. I don't know if I didn't see how that was worded where it was on and off. It was an on and off fee, and I think it was one fee. So I don't know if they were combining that one fee into
I'd have to look at it. I thought it was clear that it was
two
on
separate.
and then off, yeah.
'Cause I didn't, that was another question I wanted to look at too.
I think
but-
it was pretty clear when I went and looked at that.
Yeah. But I think it's excessive. I know I mean, it's an enterprise, we're here to make, to make money, but we're also not a profit corporation for not,
Right.
Business for non-profit.
Well, the other thing too is, I mean, it's something that's everywhere, so we don't have to reinvent the wheel either. I mean, we can take a look at what industry standard is.
If you look at that, we're gonna be raising rates, and I know he's not gonna be for that. 'Cause I know people in Webster that got shut off and it cost them $400 or $500
Really?
to turn back on.
Well, I just don't think we should be part of the problem. It's a small enough town, I think we should, I mean, within reason. I don't think, when I did quick math on one day that we did shut-offs, and we were generated $1,800 in revenue. That was only one day. So to me that, but there's other days that, it's supposed to do that. So I just don't think it's fair to people. I think a reasonable fee, I'm more than happy to do it. Excessive is too much. But, I mean, vote's a vote. Not the big thing, so.
I mean, we don't end up with a lot of shut-offs. And it's usually, it's often the same people.
Yeah.
And some of them say they have the money. They just don't pay it. I don't understand it.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at it, it's insane. It's a lot of money that you're spending, percentage-wise. Like you said, you owe $200. Now you get a on-fee and off-fee, you get a demand fee, you get interest. It's crazy not to pay it. Don't pay your cable, don't pay your cell phone. You want to pay your water sewer bill because you're not going to live without it.
Well, all of that with the fees attached, really all your municipal bills, your
Yeah.
property taxes, your excise taxes,
Yeah.
you don't, there's massive, I don't
Yeah,
wanna say
excise
massive
taxes,
fees,
yeah.
but there's fees attached to all that, and then penalties. I mean, excise tax, you can't renew your license.
Yeah, that's all state stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, trust me, I get
Yeah.
the excise one every time.
But in real estate, you get the demand, you get interest.
Yeah,
You
and
know.
then you get liened and,
If it goes that far.
If it goes that far, so it's just, but,
Well, we always get our money, it's not we're not gonna get. It goes to lien, we get paid from town side.
The mortgage companies are not paying as often as they used to. They used to, the mortgage company would just pay it and add it to the end of the loan.
Yeah, well, it's supposed to go through the real estate though, so we get reimbursed from the town side, and then the town's supposed to go after the banks.
They don't pay us though. They wait until they get paid and they pay us. You gotta find that out somewhere.
Yeah.
I know I
I
saw
read
it.
it, yeah, I read that. It's in municipal finance and how
Yeah.
that process goes. But- So that's all, just to kind of, not reinventing the wheel, just what my thought was. It was confusing to me to try to go back and try to look through and try to find what it was. So I thought, making sure it's all, because it wasn't amended, and then there was some wording things in there, and then the actual fees. And another topic was on the fees was, I think we probably should add, and only if it can be done through units, I don't wanna add a fee that screws up and gets into, it's gonna start making multiple bills again, would be the process for, construction. Before, I know in years past, anytime I've ever did a house, you'd always just hook up the water, you use it to, and you call them to get into the house, and put a meter in, and it's done. And now, they wanna put the meter in early, but the problem is that you put the meter in now, at the beginning of it, when you need the water, the house is framed, the risk of the thing getting smashed is huge, because I've seen them standing on them,
Oh, yeah.
so what happens is, and the lines, they get cleaned out. So it would be nice to have, if we can do a construction maybe a construction fee, but I don't know how that would tie through with the munis side. If you're gonna do, how does it do with the name, the name has to be associated with the accountant or.
well, and then when the unit's sold, then the final read on that.
Right, that's what I'm
what's
saying,
that?
so I don't think that,
Yeah.
you'd have to be able to skip the final read section on it'd have to be just a temporary water source and a bill for it. And then when you called that the meter installed,
Yeah, but how would you do that? I mean, what
The
happens
only
if you
problem
stop
I have with that
watering
is
the lawns
that
and everything?
we're not accounting for the water.
yeah, but
So it screws me on my unaccounted for.
you won't get any billable, or put a temporary, put it.
So I don't care if we have a construction meter, but
Yeah,
at least
put
that
it-
way I have a meter
yeah.
in it.
But I can tell you on a normal, single-family house, you don't generate enough, you gotta use 750 gallons to generate $3 worth of water. You're lucky if you generate that. Just the only time you need water on the building portion of it is just plastering, cleaning,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
What happens, they start watering the
That's,
lawns.
that's
So I've
usually
seen
at,
that
that's
too,
usually at the
yeah.
end, that's where you have to, it has to be, gotta be monitored. But even if you're still watering the lawn, it's more the unaccounted for at that point,
Yeah.
because it's still a minimal amount of water. I mean, they blow off a fire truck, to clear a line or do something, they use more water in one little section doing something like that versus just cleaning out. I think it's a good idea just to get everything cleaned out in the house. And I'm not
And
opposed to putting.
since you said that, I wanna-
Putting a meter in.
We need to add something on, like when any of these new construction, when you gotta flush all the lines and stuff, and they're doing their fire pump tests and all that stuff. We should probably have something in there, because I can tell you the day that we did the Blackstone Valley, I think we blew through 60,000 gallons of water in a matter of minutes.
So I mean, so the guy that's doing a little project that uses a few hundred gallons, 1,000 gallons or something, but I mean, it's so, it's not even the billable part, there's more paperwork involved than the actual cost of the water.
Yeah.
I know, I checked on the last one, the meter, put it in, and it was less than a billable amount, so basically you just got a basic charge of the, whatever, $50 or whatever it is. And there was no charge on the water because there was nothing, it didn't trigger it to make unusable feet. So and then it's not worth the risk of putting the meter in, doing it all, and then having it be smashed, but the water guy can have, if something breaks on it, they're not gonna stay with it.
Well, we bill them if they break it.
Yeah, but the homeowner's gonna get that, they're gonna fix that up so they don't have to mess with it. They're gonna sell it and the homeowner's gonna get that.
Well, we can read it, check it.
Yeah, they read it outside, they do anything smashed on the inside, the plaque, it's all shitty, they're stepping on it.
Yeah.
I've seen them, I've watched them, step on them to stand up on stuff.
I know, we had one spray foamed in.
And now they're all plastic, so it's even worse. The other ones were metal. So what you have the other type, the plastic ones are even worse. I just think, you can put a temporary, if you can do it, we're gonna find out how it can be avoided. And just put a fee, put a $50 fee, whatever it is for a temporary, and just for indoor water use. If you caught water in the grass, comes out. Or you charge them different,
Yeah, charge them a fee
for
for it.
the fee for they're gonna irrigate, putting a lawn sometime.
Yep.
So just come up with something on it.
But we should have a policy for hydrant flow tests, because we don't charge for those right now, and it ties us up for a couple hours. Pressure testing, so pressure testing, hydrant flow. And like I said, flow tests for these big buildings, they go through a ton of water,
Yeah.
and it takes some time. We do a pressure test, it's minimum 2-hour test, so we're out there watching it for 2 hours, and we're wasting our time and at no cost, so.
Mm-hmm.
Those are a few things that we should implement, and another one would be that we should probably have any of the projects, I don't care if you guys pick how big the project is, but if there's a water main extension, like through the CRG project or up around the Blackstone Valley, we should probably have it be required that we have engineering oversight while they're doing that water main installation, because I don't have all day to sit out there watching them put water main in, because it's sometimes a slow process, or they're like, oh, we're gonna do a couple today, and and if I'm in the middle of a meeting and I can't get out there or whatever, so.
Yeah, something like that on that side, that should have controlled construction, there should be something from an engineer certifying that's being installed
I
properly.
mean, our engineers should, so one of Stantec, one of our engineers representatives should be out there overseeing it, making sure they're using the right materials, they're bedding it correctly, they're putting it together correctly, they're using the right
We're
fittings.
not doing that?
No, I keep running out doing the inspections, and I don't have time for it.
Yeah, but they did the water mains down here.
Yeah, because that's a several-month process, and that's one of our projects. So, in order to make sure we're paying them for what they're doing, and they're doing what we're paying them for, we pay the engineers, which is what I think should happen on the private projects too.
Well, I thought we automatically did that.
No project since I've been here have we had engineering oversight on.
No, we never
Because
had
you
a
were
project like
running up
this.
to Pond Street,
Yeah.
not Pond Street, but North Village.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had then they hired,
I did end up pushing to get them.
yeah, we had, that was part of the MOU,
Right.
and I remember in the MOU, I said, why are we doing that when it should
Right.
be? It was agreed that they had a resident
Right.
inspector up there.
Right, and then they tried getting away with, oh, we only want them out there a couple
Yeah.
times, you know, and it was like, no, anytime you're putting pipe in,
Yeah.
you can have the inspection.
Yeah.
And some of that came out because when I was out there, they weren't doing it right, and then
Yeah.
it would turn into a shit show,
Mhm.
so.
Whatever happened with that, when they were doing?
Oh, when they crossed the sewer?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
what was the outcome of that?
Unfortunately, the state backed down and let them put it in the way that they finally proposed.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I sent it to the state to tell them, hey, why don't you come back saying, no, it doesn't meet our regulation. They're like, oh, it'll be fine. I'm like, you just stiffed me. I'm trying to hold hard on a line here and I'm following your rules and now you're saying, no, it's fine. So,
Yeah.
so,
I suppose they get in the cities and they used to dealing with looking at stuff in the cities that look like
I
spaghetti.
know everything's all crossing everything.
Yeah. So that was it on that. That's all I wanted to. And if there's any other fees, if you guys think of anything, those are just some things that came to mind.
Yeah,
to me.
so I'll try to see if we can get everything together. I don't know if I'll be able to do it for the next meeting. Just
Yeah, it just I mean,
way
it
too much
doesn't
going
have to
on
be.
to focus on this right now. But
You know, it doesn't have to be a meeting, just as long as it's in the works, we can work on it and get it,
yeah,
just get it all cleaned up. So it's
yeah. If we can gather bits and pieces of it and try to get it all together as one
Yeah.
package, and then try to figure out how we want to lay it out and
and just,
present it
yeah, just
for you guys to vote to clean it up or whatever.
yeah,
All right.
that was it. If everybody's agreeable, if not, then we'll do it is.
I'm never agreeable. Disagreeable. That's all I got.
I don't have it. You all set, Carl?
That's it. Yep.
All right.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn the meeting at 7:34.
Second.
All in favor?
I'm sorry. Let me amend that. 8:34.
8:34.
We adjourn the meeting at 8:34.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.